I want to like reverse for a second here, because you guys did something that was really interesting to me, which is you have like a presence in the CrossFit space. You have like a social media presence, and yet you kept Michelle's pregnancy under wraps very, very well, and the birth of the baby under wraps, to the point where you announced the birth of the baby like a week after he was born, after you're like, I made it to the CrossFit Games, by the way, here's my baby. So what was that thought process? Did you guys plan that out, or were you just kind of like, you know what, let's have a little bit of privacy for this one?
Yeah, it kind of evolved over time. And I think, I don't know, in the end, we were like, wow, maybe we don't even announce it until he's like 5. We show up, show up somewhere with like a fully grown kid, and then people are like, whose kid is that? We're like, well, that's my kid. And they're like, wait, what? But I think it was partly circumstance with just kind of pandemic life. And I think we talked about it early on in the pregnancy. We just said like, hey, look, um, I I don't know. I don't. I like to have certain areas of my life remain mine and remain a little bit private. And I think that it's harder and harder to do that. So it was partly like something that I wanted to do, and I think an interesting experiment to see how well we could do it. But yeah, we talked about it a bit, and Michelle, has a private social media account, and we're like, look, if you post whatever you want, and it doesn't matter if you want to share it, because for her, it's a little more sharing with friends and family. Like for me, it's like sharing with a large global community, 500,000 people at least, and that just feels a bit gratuitous. And like I think that given my standing in the CrossFit community, I think it very quickly gets turned into clickbait. And it's just like that wasn't what we wanted out of our pregnancy, right? I didn't want it to be like a vlog clickbait. So we just kind of decided like, well, we'll keep it under wraps for now, and then at a certain point maybe we change our mind, or we'll keep it quiet for now. And I think even with our knowledge of pregnancies and things, like Michelle is a family doctor, and we're like, I don't know, like sometimes people lose babies, and like I don't want to deal with any of that at all, or even think about it. So we're just going to keep cool for now and whatever. And then as we kind of got along, it was like it kind of got more and more fun. Be like, oh, like we're keeping this secret. And it wasn't like a super secret. Like if I had friends that I was speaking to, we'd tell them, but it just wasn't telling, like throwing out a big blast, right? So that's what I mean. Like kind of in the pandemic world, we're just seeing less people. Your close community just gets a little closer. So yeah, there was like less people that we see, and because we live on an island far away from both of our families and kind of friends we grew up with, you're just not seeing those groups as much. So we went and told Michelle's family in person, kind of in, I want to say like October, November, or November probably. And then we kind of held off. I went to see my folks for Christmas, and we told them in person because we just wanted to do that face to face. And then yeah, as it went along, it just sort of became more of a game, and it was like, like, well, maybe we'll announce it like, as we're getting close to term. And then when the schedule came out for the competition season, we had to really figure out how I was going to compete in semifinals, because the dates were kind of peri due date. And as you would know, like, or anybody who has had kids, they don't come on their due date. So, like,
No.
it's a bit of a it's a bit of a like guessing game. And then we looked around, and because all of the semifinals were basically in the US, except for the one in Montreal that we were eligible for, that meant quarantines back and forth for us. And so basically the only event that would guarantee that I would be able to be there for the birth was if I competed in Canada, because it would save me a quarantine. Um, and then it ended up being online, which was even better because I could just stay home, because those were like, right. He was born about 5 days before our competition started. So it was close. Like, we were really worried about that being a problem, or like that I would be away, or I would have to just turn down a semifinal. And fortunately it wasn't the case. But yeah, I feel like then baby was born, and it was like a little bit before the semifinal, and I kind of just went, oh, I'm gonna just like do this. And it ended up being really cool, because I feel before we started competing, I said to somebody, I was like, oh, well, I'll just go and I'll win the semifinal, and then we'll announce it. And then so we went and competed, and I did win the semifinal. And then the Sunday where we finished was actually Father's Day also, right? So it ended
Yeah.
up being like kind of cool the way it all shook out. But yeah, sort of just started as like we wanted to keep things a little bit private and personal and something for kind of just us and our friends and family. And it kind of gradually branched out a little bit, and then it just became fun. And I feel like at a certain point, Michelle was even said like, "Oh, you know what? Maybe we should just not announce it, and I'll just show up to the games with a baby." And like people would be like, again, like, "Hey, whose baby is that?" Like, "Oh, what? That's our baby." Everyone would be like, "What?"
Like yeah,
And
whatever.
so
We had a baby.
yeah, like have a secret baby. But it was funny. It was like it wasn't as big a secret as it seemed, I think, just because, people who were close to it we see knew. But because of the pandemic, you just are seeing less people, talking to less people, maybe, right? So yeah, it was just like I said, so nice to keep some things private now and then. And it was cool proof of concept that we can do it. So
Yeah.
now, we could be up to literally
Yeah.
anything and
Now
nobody
who
will
knows?
ever
Who
know.
knows what else
Yeah.
you guys are keeping in your back pockets?
Yeah. You guys don't know.
No,
We could
like
have
this
two
camera,
or three kids.
yeah,
That
this
was
view
just
is
like,
pointed at that wall. Who knows what's happening behind the phone right now? You know what I mean?
yeah, that's right.
It's a circus back there.
But anyways, it was pretty fun. So I wanted to actually ask too. So you said you're 6 weeks now. Your baby was born just before the games, or just
Just before, yeah, the 21st of July.
21st? Okay,
So
sweet.
yeah, we're right at the 6 week mark this week, I want to say. Yeah.
Starting to look at you and
Yeah, he's like
you know,
smiling and like you're smiling for things other than farts. You know what I mean? He's like
right?
he's
Yeah, social smiling.
social smiling. Like he'll
Wow.
look at Katie and he'll be really excited. He'll look at me and he'll have like a little bit of excitement. He hasn't quite laughed yet, but I'm sure that's coming soon.
We've been saying that he kind of giggles, but he's not. Again, I'm not convinced it's like social giggling.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes he's really smiley, but we might have to wait a little while for that. What's your son's name?
His name is Levon. We actually haven't told anybody
Levon.
yet. Like not like
Oh,
told
ooh,
anybody, but like
sorry.
no, you're good. It doesn't matter. It's fine. It's not like a big secret. Other
Okay,
than like
it's like our situation.
yeah, it's like your situation. So yeah, his name is Levon. We haven't we're trying not to like do a ton of social media around him outside of like friends and family. Like Katie's social media account has like a friends and family thing on it, that she actually curates, whereas like mine is like whoever fucking joins.
Yeah,
So like she posts like photos of him and puts stuff in her story and stuff. And whenever I post it, usually we try and not to like put out his like his face or name or anything like that. But it's not for any like particular reason other than like, hey, this is kind of fun. This is kind of fun to
yeah. I think it's okay to be private about stuff like that, right?
yeah.
It's like that's
It's
cool.
like
I'm glad.
it's a little bit of like a game or whatever, right? It's a little bit of like, let's see if we can do this. And a part of it's also like exactly what you said, which is there's things that are worth keeping to yourself. There's things that are worth
Yeah,
keeping in your back pocket to just kind of like limit its exposure for the value that it has. Like, I was telling a friend of mine, like I have a few friends that all had babies around the same time as we did. So we
oh,
have
that's
we,
awesome.
we have a couple of one of my oldest friends had a baby in April, and then another one of my friends had a baby in May. We had another couple of friends that had a
Awesome.
baby in June, and then we had our baby in July. So it's like we have a bunch of friends that all had babies around the same time. And I was telling them that we were going to like the grocery store, and I had my son in like his little like caddy, his little like baby seat caddy, and we were like walking him around the store, and I noticed somebody looking at him, and I was like, no, and I just covered him with his swaddle, like covered it up with his swaddle. And it's boring for him because he's trying to look around and see what's going on, and now he's just staring at
Right.
kind of like the back of like this cloth. But I was like, I get to look at my baby. Like you guys, strange lady, you don't get to like peek in and stare at my baby. Like those eyes, that smile, that's mine. Like nobody else gets that for a minute. You know what I mean?
It's the same as we were saying about the like pregnancy advice. Like people with new babies, there's like a weird um, culture around that, and it's especially weird during like again like COVID kind of times where you're not sure who, like if people are vaccinated or whatever, and like everybody wants to like touch your baby or like whatever. Like, oh, can I hold them? And you're kind of like, yeah, I want to say yes, but I don't know. And so
Yeah.
it's a bit weird. and like I get that. Anyway, it's cool. I like that you guys are. It's funny. There's a lot of like movement around that too for kids and babies on like being put on social platforms where there's like, a question about consent or various things like that. And like I don't need to get into like all the weeds of that, but I think it's cool to, like you said, like maintain a little bit of that for your close family and friends, and you get to decide like who that is, right? Given again like your profile on social media and stuff like that, it's weird, and I think that people sort of end up with like a sense of entitlement to your life. um so I think that it's nice to be able to say like, hey, like, no, like this is mine over here, and like you get to have all this other stuff, and this is like more than enough,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, so just like let me have this and it's all good, right? So
I just,
I think there's
yeah.
like, I really like that. I think there's something nice about being able to keep your private life private. Like I see so many, even everybody doing vlogs and things like that now, and I have very little interest in doing that. I like, and I'm very like chatty social guy. I'm happy to give a lot of myself to people, but I think that it's nice to have boundaries.
Yeah, that's I think the boundaries thing is really important. Part of it is like the philosophical concept of like, yeah, this is my life, and the people in my life who are like intimately in my life absolutely deserve a different type of experience with my life than strangers on the internet, which is essentially what most of our relationships and on social media are. But at the other side of it is also, like I have friends and acquaintances and stuff like that who just overshare. It's just too much. It's like
I think
I
we
like
all know. I'm probably guilty of that sometimes.
no, and actually, actually was going through your Instagram to kind of like look back and see, like, kind of pick up some like details about Owen and like when he was born and stuff like that. And it's like I think you have, and obviously it doesn't fucking matter what my opinion is about this, but I think you have a very tasteful amount of posts with your son and about your relationship and about but like your social media is not a day-to-day vlog about what you're up to. Your social media is like it's a platform for your career right now. Like it doesn't have to you don't have to post, and you've clearly made the decision that you shouldn't be posting your baby's face like every 30 minutes, because what does that do for you? It doesn't necessarily actually help you along in what the function of this platform is. But the other side of it is also like, I also know people who are so into the concept of like vlogging or YouTube or whatever, that like it feels like their entire lives are put on for whatever their next episode is going to be. And i
Mhm.
I refuse to allow that to be the case. Like I will never ever do something just for the camera or just for social media or whatever. Like I would rather do everything where nobody sees it and it's just me and my wife or just me and my friends and just our baby, and like enjoy it, as opposed to like pull out a phone or pull out my camera or lug my my like tripod and my camera around the entire time. Like there's just a decision there to be like, what, this is what it's for, this is what I do this for, this is how I'm going to live my life. And the intimacy and privacy is valuable to me in that sense.
Totally. I think it's good that that's not your first instinct, right? I find it, especially nowadays, with I don't know, TikTok is big on that. Like people have their phones out all the time, just like doing weird stuff. And I'm like, I feel awkward talking to my phone, or like,
Mhm.
so I don't know if I could do the vlog thing. I would have to get over a serious hang up that I have on things like that. And again, I'm happy to talk to other people, and like I'm very social, but I just think that there's sort of, it feels very manufactured. And I don't love that part. And even like you said, like I'm happy to post little things of like my family and what I'm doing, but um I don't I don't want it to feel like it's a, I don't know, like a means to an end or something like that. Like it's part of a plan for like, oh, I'm gonna post more pictures of my baby and my partner, and then I'm gonna target a different audience, and then it's like this and that. Like that's not it. Like it's nice when you don't have to think about it too much. And so I don't. There's certainly periods where like social media like feels more like work, and I'll like, I want to post something, and you're like, oh man, I don't know how is that going to look for this, and like I hate that I have to think about that. And
Yeah.
so when there's times that you just can be pretty genuine, it's nice. And it's nice when it's well received.